Let's have a chat with Brian in Eastry. Professor, good morning to you, sir.
Well, hello, you're looking well.
As are you on the radio. I've never seen you look so resplendent.
Oh, there you go. That's because on this occasion we're on the phone instead of in the studio. That's the reason for that.
Brian, so your memory of the coronation, you were only a little whippersnapper then, obviously.
I have to say that I wasn't really interested. I was 13 years old. I was out playing with my mates, Frank Webber and Brian Hall, and we were playing over on, I suppose now you'd call it a bomb site in Peterborough. We lived in Grange Avenue at the time. Yeah. And I really wasn't terribly interested. And I went home for a drink. I knew that the house was full of people. We'd had a telly first in 1948 from Alexandra Palace. So my father had, I think, 9-inch screen was the original one. And we got up to an 11-inch telly, if you can imagine that, the size of a dinner plate. And the house was entirely filled with neighbours because we were the only telly in the road. And I went in and my mother said, "Oh, come and see the coronation." Oh, that's on, I thought to myself in my typical 13-year-old schoolboyish way. And so I looked in just as the Archbishop was holding the crown up high in the air above it, and then he lowered it down onto her head. And I thought to myself at the time, if somebody put a hat on me or a crown or something, I just want to put my hands up and adjust it slightly and wriggle my head to make sure it was, because she couldn't. She just sat there hoping he'd put it on properly and it wasn't going to fall off. And everybody shouted, "No, God save the Queen." And I thought, oh. So my mother said, "There we are, we have a new Queen." And I thought, oh, right. Oh. Glad I saw that. And then I ran out to play with my friends.
Can I go back out with Frank and Brian?
That's right.
Do you think that was just because you were a bit of a slightly surly teenager, as are most boys at the age of 13, that you had that sort of lack of interest?
No, I think, they have done surveys just recently and said how the young aren't terribly bothered about royalty. I don't think you are terribly bothered about royalty. It's not until you grow up and you discover what a perverse and muddled world it is that you begin to acquire an awareness of the sense of continuity and the sense of permanence. I mean, it is utterly bizarre to have a hereditable monarchy. It doesn't seem right. It makes no sense. It's the most illogical thing you can possibly imagine. But of the 15 most successful democracies in the world, 9 of them are monarchies. They actually have a royal family. And one can only think that the sense of permanence and stability is what matters. Now, I'm looking forward very much to this. I will tell you one thing. I have since become acquainted with both Her late Majesty and Prince Philip. And indeed, they showed commendable interest in my scientific writing. But it's Prince Harry that I find intriguing. The whole issue seems to be, is he going to come or isn't he? And now he is going to. Were I His Majesty, and I wouldn't presume to advise the King, I'd be more worried about the fact that Harry might kick up a fuss in the Abbey. I could well imagine him standing up and saying, "This is all lies," or "Down with the King," or something, with a placard that he'd hidden in his suit and marching down the aisle. I'm really and truly, were I the King, I would not have dreamt of letting Harry inside the building.
So you'll be glued to the screen just in case a soap opera unfolds before your
Well,
eyes.
our daughter's inviting the family over. I'm told she's got two tubs, imagine that, big tubs of clotted cream, and we're going to take the scones. My gosh, we're going to have a party. But I shall be glued to every second of that until it's over, just in case Harry does something interesting. Now, I think it's rather nice. I was a guest once of one of Prince Charles's, he wasn't there at the time, of one of Prince Charles's conferences at Windsor Castle. And you're served by the royal staff. And I must say, it's quite modest. It's just a normal, civilised breakfast, but there's no amazing china and super gold-plated luxury. They're a nice middle-class family, and they do work bloody hard. And I've gone off, and done a lecture and been shown around the university and gone for a faculty lunch and presented a prize and given a speech. And by 3 o'clock, I'm totally exhausted. Well, when they do that, with 10 times as many people watching, they then go off and do another one, and another one, and another one, and next day more. I've no idea why we really think that they're just living an endless life of luxury. They work very hard, and I admire the way very much in which Prince Philip and now the King have worked so hard to preserve notions of conservation and biodiversity and all that kind of stuff. They really were trailblazers, and I think they've been nothing but a power for good. I'm glad we have a monarchy.
Brian, thank you for sharing your thoughts and your memories. Always a pleasure to speak to you, sir.
My pleasure. You look after yourself.
Take care. Professor Brian Ford.